Tuesday of this week that Deshaun Watson got all or most of the key first-team reps. And then when we were out there yesterday, Shedeur got those. Sitting there in that press conference yesterday and listening to Jared Verse talk, I really think he's going to be a unifier on this team. I think he is going to fit in perfectly with these young guys. I think he's going to be more of a team leader than Myles Garrett was, because as phenomenal as Myles was on the field, I don't think very many people would say that he was a great team leader while he was here.
The Cleveland Browns might have just walked into the most unexpected quarterback controversy in the NFL, and the wild part is nobody saw it coming this fast. A few weeks ago, it felt like the organization already had its mind made up. Deshaun Watson was expected to reclaim QB1, the offense would be built around him again, and Cleveland would try to squeeze one more competitive season out of this current core. But now, the entire conversation has changed because Shedeur Sanders is suddenly forcing the Browns to rethink everything they believed about their quarterback room. And when Mary Kay Cabot starts publicly hinting that the team may actually be reconsidering its original plan, you know something serious is happening behind the scenes. What makes this story explode even more is that the shift didn't happen because of one lucky throw or one viral practice clip. According to reports coming out of OTA practices, Shedeur Sanders has steadily started gaining momentum day after day. Earlier in the offseason, the Browns' messaging was simple. Watson was the guy, Watson was leading the reps, and Watson was expected to start the season as QB1. But over the last couple of weeks, that confidence suddenly started sounding less certain. Coaches began rotating reps differently. Shedeur started getting key opportunities with better units. Then came the comments from the coaching staff about having two starting caliber quarterbacks. In the NFL, wording like that is never accidental.
Deshaun had a little bit of a lead in terms of impressive throws, but more importantly, in getting those reps that were nailed down actual situations.
Mary Kay Cabot made it clear that Shedeur Sanders has come on so strong recently that the Browns are now backing off the idea of making an early quarterback decision. That is a massive statement because organizations usually try to avoid uncertainty at quarterback whenever possible. Teams want stability, they want structure, they want one guy leading the room. But when a young player starts making the staff uncomfortable in the best possible way, plans start changing quickly. And right now, it sounds like Shedeur is doing exactly that inside Cleveland's facility. Now, to be fair, Mary Kay didn't pretend Shedeur looked perfect out there. She mentioned missed throws, timing issues, procedural mistakes, and even some sloppy moments during practice. This wasn't some flawless superstar performance, but when the pressure moments arrived, Shedeur delivered. 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions, a huge deep ball to Isaiah Bond that immediately got attention. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson reportedly looked off rhythm for stretches, threw an interception, and never fully controlled the practice session. That contrast matters because quarterback battles are often decided by momentum, confidence, and perception just as much as pure statistics.
It seemed like Shedeur was maybe the first day he's unequivocally had a better day than Deshaun Watson, and afterwards, coach seemed to say, hey, we have 2 NFL starting caliber quarterbacks. Is that your read on this, or is he just building them up? If this might have been another coach, would they say this has not been so good? How would you evaluate that?
This is where young players usually make a mistake. They start believing the hype before they've actually earned anything. But the interesting part about Shedeur Sanders is that the Browns reportedly love how he's approaching all of this. They're impressed with the work ethic, the preparation, and the speed of his development. More importantly, Mary Kay hinted that the organization may even be surprised by how quickly he's adapting to the NFL environment. That word surprised stands out because it tells you the Browns probably didn't expect this level of competition so early in the process. The quarterback situation also feels bigger because of where the Browns are as a franchise right now. This isn't the same Cleveland team from 2 years ago. The roster is getting younger. The energy around the team feels different, and with Myles Garrett no longer being the centerpiece of the organization, there's a sense that the Browns are entering an entirely new era whether they plan to or not. That's why the Shedeur Sanders storyline feels symbolic. If he eventually becomes the starter, it represents more than just a depth chart change. It represents the Browns moving away from the old vision they spent years trying to force into reality.
But when it came time to making some big plays. Shedeur pulled it out in the end with that bomb to Isaiah Bond, but he had a couple of other nice plays too.
And honestly, that old vision never fully worked. The Deshaun Watson era was supposed to transform Cleveland into a contender. Instead, it became a constant cycle of pressure, inconsistency, injuries, and unanswered questions. The Browns invested heavily hoping Watson would elevate the entire franchise, but now a rookie quarterback is suddenly making the future feel more exciting than the original plan ever did. Whether fans want to admit it or not, that changes everything inside a locker room. One of the most interesting things Mary Kay said was that the Browns may not actually know who gives them the best chance to win until real football starts. She explained that OTA practices can only tell you so much because players aren't in pads, defenses aren't fully game planning, and the competition level still isn't close to regular season intensity. She even mentioned how difficult it is to truly evaluate quarterbacks without seeing them deal with full defensive pressure. That's important because hype in June doesn't always survive September. Still, when coaches start hesitating on naming a starter, it means the competition is legitimate.
I don't think that's an overreaction. And I think more than anything, as we head to the end of the offseason, there is a quarterback competition ongoing. From anything we've seen, if there is an announcement or if there is a clear leader, it would go against what we've seen. Now, we've only seen 3 of the 9 after today.
Losing Myles Garrett was always going to feel impossible to replace. Talent like that rarely exists. But according to Mary Kay Cabot, the Browns may actually be gaining something they desperately needed in return with Jared Verse: leadership. And that is where the conversation gets really interesting. Mary Kay did not disrespect Garrett's greatness as a player, but she openly suggested that Verse may become more of a vocal leader and emotional connector for this young Browns team than Garrett ever was. That is a strong statement. Football teams need more than elite production. They need energy, accountability, and someone who brings the locker room together when adversity hits. And apparently, Verse is already showing signs of becoming exactly that kind of presence. Here's the part nobody is talking about: the Deshaun Sanders angle hanging over this entire situation. Mary Kay revealed that the Browns' leadership is open to conversations with Deshaun about Shedeur's development. Some people will criticize that idea, but Deshaun Sanders is not just a football parent. He is one of the most respected personalities the sport has ever seen, and nobody understands Shedeur better than he does. Smart organizations are going to listen carefully. This is where it gets dangerous. The Browns are standing between 2 eras right now. One era built around expensive veterans and pressure to win immediately, another built around youth, development, and energy. Shedeur Sanders represents that future offensively, and Jared Verse may represent it defensively, and the organization now has to decide how quickly it is willing to embrace that transition. The craziest part is this entire shift started during OTA practices most people normally ignore, but sometimes the smallest off-season developments reveal the biggest future changes. Right now, the Browns look like a franchise slowly realizing its future may arrive much faster than anyone expected. And if Shedeur keeps outperforming expectations through training camp, the question becomes impossible to avoid: how long can the Browns realistically justify keeping him on the bench?